strong the Persian Empire explained. Reduction. Imagine an empire so vast that it stretched across 3 continents. An empire that ruled over nearly half of the world's population. A kingdom where dozens of cultures, languages, and religions lived under one ruler. An empire connected by the world's first great highway, protected by one of history's most powerful armies, and governed by a system so advanced that it inspired future civilizations for centuries. This was not Rome, it was not Greece, it was the Persian Empire. More than 2,500 years ago, Persia became the largest empire the world had ever seen. From the deserts of Egypt to the mountains of India, from the Aegean Sea to Central Asia, its influence reached farther than any empire before it. But how did a small kingdom become the world's first true superpower? Who was the legendary king known as Cyrus the Great? How did Persia conquer mighty kingdoms without destroying their cultures? And why did this unstoppable empire eventually fall? This is the complete story of the Persian Empire. Chapter 1. Before Persia. Long before Persia became famous, the ancient Near East was dominated by powerful kingdoms. The Assyrian Empire ruled through fear and military strength. Its armies crushed rebellions, destroyed cities, and expanded across Mesopotamia. But no empire lasts forever. As Assyria weakened, 2 rising powers divided its lands: the Babylonians and the Medes. To the southeast, on the Iranian plateau, lived several Iranian tribes. Among them was a relatively small group known as the Persians. For many years, the Persians were subjects of the Median Empire. They paid tribute to the Median kings and had little influence over regional politics. Few could have imagined that this small kingdom would soon reshape the ancient world. Chapter 2. The Birth of Cyrus. Around 600 BC, a prince named Cyrus was born into the Persian royal family. Ancient legends claim that before his birth, the Median king Astyages dreamed that his grandson would overthrow him. Fearing the prophecy, he ordered the infant Cyrus to be killed. According to tradition, the baby was secretly spared and raised by a shepherd. Years later, Cyrus discovered his royal heritage and returned to claim his place. Whether the story is fact or legend remains uncertain. What is certain is that Cyrus grew into a remarkable leader, brave in battle, wise in diplomacy, and respected by both nobles and common people. Unlike many rulers of his time, he understood that loyalty could be earned through justice as well as strength. Chapter 3. The Persian Revolt. By 550 BC, Cyrus believed the time had come for Persia to stand on its own. He rallied the Persian tribes and declared independence from the Median Empire. King Astyages marched south with a powerful army to crush the rebellion. But something unexpected happened. Many Median soldiers, impressed by Cyrus's leadership, refused to fight. Some even joined the Persians. The rebellion quickly turned into a decisive victory. The Median capital, Ecbatana, fell into Cyrus's hands. Instead of punishing the Medes, Cyrus treated them with respect. He kept many Median officials in positions of power, and united the 2 peoples into one kingdom. It was the first sign of the policy that would define his reign. Conquer without unnecessary cruelty, and build loyalty instead of fear. Chapter 4. The Conquest of Lydia. With Media united under his rule, Cyrus turned west toward the wealthy kingdom of Lydia, ruled by the famous King Croesus. Croesus possessed immense riches, thanks to Lydia's gold mines and thriving trade. Confident in his strength, he attacked Persia. Cyrus responded swiftly. After several battles, the Persian army reached the Lydian capital of Sardis. Ancient historians describe a clever tactic. Persian soldiers placed camels at the front of their army. The unfamiliar scent frightened the Lydian cavalry horses, breaking their formation. Whether every detail is true or not, the result is certain. Sardis fell. Croesus was captured. The richest kingdom in Western Asia became part of the Persian Empire. Now Persia controlled vast wealth, strategic trade routes, and access to the Aegean Sea. Its power was growing rapidly. Chapter 5. The Fall of Babylon. Cyrus's greatest challenge still lay ahead, the mighty city of Babylon. Protected by enormous walls and supplied by the Euphrates River, Babylon was considered impossible to conquer. Yet in 539 BC, Cyrus achieved what many believed could never be done. Ancient sources suggest that Persian engineers diverted part of the Euphrates River, lowering the water level enough for soldiers to enter the city through the riverbed at night. Whether the operation unfolded exactly as described is debated by historians, but Babylon fell with surprisingly little destruction. Instead of looting the city, Cyrus presented himself as a liberator. He allowed displaced peoples, including the Jewish exiles, to return to their homelands and rebuild their temples. This act earned him a lasting reputation for religious tolerance and wise leadership. The famous Cyrus Cylinder, often described as one of the earliest declarations of human rights, though modern scholars debate that label, records his policy of restoring temples and respecting local traditions. With Babylon under Persian control, Cyrus ruled the largest empire the world had ever seen. Chapter 6. The Final Campaign of Cyrus. By the year 530 BC, Cyrus ruled an empire unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. From the mountains of Central Asia to the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, millions of people now lived under Persian rule. Most kings would have been satisfied, but Cyrus believed the empire's borders could still be secured. To the northeast lived fierce nomadic tribes known as the Massagetae. They were skilled horsemen, fearless warriors, and masters of the open steppe. According to the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, Cyrus launched a campaign against them. The fighting was brutal. One story claims that after an early Persian victory, the Massagetae queen, Timurus, swore revenge. In the final battle, Cyrus was killed. Whether every detail of the story is true remains uncertain, but one fact is clear. After nearly 30 years of conquest, Cyrus the Great died in battle. His body was returned to Pasargadae, where a simple stone tomb was built in his honor. Even today, more than 2,500 years later, that tomb still stands. Unlike many conquerors, Cyrus was remembered not only for his victories, but also for his mercy, fairness, and respect for the people he ruled. Chapter 7. Cambyses II and the Conquest of Egypt. After Cyrus's death, his son Cambyses II inherited the empire. He faced an enormous challenge. Could he preserve what his father had built? Cambyses decided to expand even farther. His target was one of the oldest civilizations on Earth, Egypt. In 525 BC, the Persian army marched across the Sinai Desert. At the Battle of Pelusium, Egyptian forces fought fiercely, but they were defeated. Soon afterward, the ancient city of Memphis surrendered. For the first time in history, Egypt became part of the Persian Empire. Cambyses was crowned pharaoh and adopted many Egyptian traditions. However, ancient writers also accused him of cruelty and strange behavior. Some stories claim he insulted Egyptian religion or acted irrationally. Modern historians believe many of these tales were exaggerated by his enemies. Whatever the truth, Cambyses's reign was short. While returning from Egypt, he died under mysterious circumstances. His sudden death created a dangerous power vacuum. Chapter 8. A new king rises. Following Cambyses's death, confusion spread throughout the empire. Several men claimed the throne. Rebellions erupted in different provinces. The future of the Persian Empire seemed uncertain. Then a young nobleman named Darius stepped forward. According to Persian records, Darius and a small group of loyal nobles defeated a man pretending to be the king. In 522 BC, Darius became the new ruler of Persia. His first years were filled with war. Rebellions broke out in Babylon, Media, Egypt, and several other regions. One by one, Darius crushed each uprising. By the end of his campaigns, peace had returned. The empire was united once again. Chapter 9. Darius the Great. Many historians consider Darius I to be the greatest administrator of the ancient world. While Cyrus created the empire, Darius organized it. He understood that conquering land was only the beginning. To rule millions of people, he needed a system that was fair, efficient, and reliable. So he divided the empire into more than 20 provinces called satrapies. Each province was governed by a satrap, or governor, who collected taxes, maintained order, and enforced Persian law. To prevent corruption, Darius created a network of royal inspectors. They traveled secretly throughout the empire, reporting directly to the king. People called them the eyes and ears of the king. No governor could become too powerful without the royal inspector's watchful gaze. Chapter 10. The Royal Road. Managing such a vast empire required more than soldiers. It required communication. Darius ordered the construction of one of the greatest highways in the ancient world, the Royal Road. Stretching over 2,500 kilometers, it connected the city of Susa with Sardis. Along the route, relay stations allowed royal messengers to change horses and continue their journey without delay. A message that once took months to travel could now reach its destination in just days. The Greek historian Herodotus praised the Persian postal system, writing that neither snow, rain, heat, nor darkness stopped the royal couriers from completing their mission. Centuries later, this idea inspired modern postal services around the world. Chapter 11. Wealth, Trade, and Prosperity. Under Darius, Persia became more than a military empire. It became an economic powerhouse. Merchants traveled safely across thousands of kilometers. Goods flowed through Persian markets. Gold from Egypt, ivory from Africa, spices from India, silver from Anatolia, fine textiles from Babylon. To simplify trade, Darius introduced a standardized gold coin known as the daric. For the first time, merchants across the empire could conduct business using a common currency. Trade flourished. Cities grew richer. The empire reached an unprecedented level of prosperity. Chapter 12. The Capital of Persepolis. Darius wanted a capital worthy of the world's greatest empire. He began constructing Persepolis. Built on a massive stone terrace, the city featured grand staircases, towering columns, magnificent palaces, and beautifully carved reliefs. Delegations from every corner of the empire visited Persepolis, bringing gifts and tribute to the king. The carvings showed Persians, Egyptians, Babylonians, Greeks, Indians, and many other peoples standing together. It was a powerful symbol of an empire built from many nations. Persepolis was more than a royal residence. It represented the unity, wealth, and ambition of the Persian Empire. Chapter 13. The Religion of Persia. While the Persian Empire was famous for its military power, another idea quietly shaped its future. It was a religion called Zoroastrianism. Founded by the prophet Zarathustra, this faith taught that the world was a constant battle between good and evil. At the center of this belief stood Ahura Mazda, the wise Lord. Unlike many ancient religions that worshipped dozens of gods, Zoroastrianism focused on one supreme creator. People believed every human had the freedom to choose between truth and lies, kindness and cruelty, light and darkness. Its most famous teaching was simple: good thoughts, good words, good deeds. It's in this philosophy that the Persian Empire found a moral compass that shaped governance, law, and social values for generations. Good deeds. Fire became a sacred symbol, not because it was worshipped, but because it represented purity and divine truth. Many historians believe Zoroastrianism influenced later religions, including Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, through ideas about heaven, hell, angels, and the final judgment. Although the Persian Empire allowed many religions to flourish, Zoroastrianism became closely associated with the royal family and the identity of Persia itself. Chapter 14. The Immortals. Every great empire needs a great army. Persia's most feared military force was known as the Immortals. This elite unit always consisted of exactly 10,000 soldiers. Whenever one soldier died, retired, or became ill, another immediately took his place. To outsiders, it seemed as though the army never became smaller. That is why the Greeks gave them the name the Immortals. These warriors wore beautifully decorated armor, carried long spears, bows, swords, and wicker shields. They were not only soldiers, but also the personal guards of the Persian king. Disciplined, highly trained, and fiercely loyal, the Immortals became one of the most famous military units in ancient history. Chapter 15. A growing conflict. As Persia expanded westward, it came into contact with the Greek city-states along the coast of Asia Minor. Many of these Greek cities lived under Persian rule. For years, the arrangement worked. But around 499 BC, several Greek cities revolted. The rebellion became known as the Ionian Revolt. Although Persia eventually crushed the uprising, one event changed everything. The city of Athens sent ships and soldiers to help the rebels. To King Darius, this was more than an act of support. It was an insult to the Persian Empire. According to legend, Darius ordered a servant to remind him every day, "Master, remember the Athenians." He had made up his mind. Greece would pay. Chapter 16. The March Toward Greece. In 490 BC, Darius launched a military expedition across the Aegean Sea. The Persian fleet crossed island after island before reaching mainland Greece. Their destination was a small plain near Athens, a place called Marathon. The Persians expected a quick victory. Their army was larger. Their empire was stronger. Their reputation terrified much of the ancient world. But the Greeks had something Persia underestimated: determination. The heavily armed Greek hoplites charged directly toward the Persian lines. The battle was fierce. Against overwhelming expectations, the Athenians defeated the Persian army. Thousands of Persian soldiers were killed. The survivors retreated to their ships. The victory shocked the ancient world. For the first time, Persia had suffered a major defeat. The story of a messenger running from Marathon to Athens to announce the victory later inspired the modern marathon race. Chapter 17. Darius's Final Years. The defeat at Marathon deeply frustrated Darius. He immediately began preparing an even larger invasion. Across the empire, soldiers gathered, ships were built, supplies were collected. This time, Persia would return with overwhelming force. But fate intervened. Before the invasion could begin, Darius died in 486 BC. He left behind one of the greatest empires the world had ever known. His son would inherit not only the throne, but also his father's unfinished war against Greece. That son was Xerxes I. Chapter 18. A New King, a New War. Xerxes inherited an empire stretching from Egypt to India. It contained millions of people, dozens of cultures, hundreds of cities, and enormous wealth. Determined to restore Persian honor, Xerxes prepared the largest military expedition the ancient world had ever seen. Engineers built bridges across the Hellespont. Roads were improved. Food and supplies were gathered from every corner of the empire. Ancient writers claimed his army numbered in the millions. Modern historians believe it was likely between 100,000 and 300,000 soldiers. Still, one of the largest armies of its time. As Persia prepared to march west, Greece also prepared for the greatest challenge in its history. The stage was set for legendary battles that would be remembered for over 2,000 years. Thermopylae, Salamis, Plataea. The fate of two civilizations would soon collide. Ending. For nearly 70 years, the Persian Empire had risen from a small kingdom to the greatest superpower on earth. Its kings had conquered nations, built magnificent cities, connected continents through roads and trade, and ruled with remarkable organization. But now, a handful of Greek city-states stood in its path. What followed would become one of history's most famous conflicts, a struggle that shaped the future of the Western world.